So when I was pitched today's guest, I ran out and bought some of her product, and I was blown away. As an overnight oats enthusiast and someone who makes them often for myself, having a quick option to throw in my bag to grab and go is a huge win, especially if you want it to eat and you have forgotten to do it overnight. Plus, MUSH tastes amazing. Soon after I made that first purchase, I noticed MUSH everywhere I went. In every single grocery store that I walked into, I saw it. And now, I promise you, you will too. Today's guest, Ashley Thompson, is the co-founder and CEO of MUSH, the cleanest snack brand on the market and the category leader in ready-to-eat overnight oats. After 10 years in business, the brand has expanded to 12,000 stores nationally and recently launched a line of refrigerated protein bars, which I promise they are equally as good. Ashley's career started on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs, but she was inspired to trade finance for farmers markets and build an oat-based empire from scratch. I cannot wait for you to hear this story. Come on in and meet the amazing Ashley Thompson. Welcome back to another episode of Dear FoundHer. I'm so excited to have today's guest here because after she was pitched to me, I started seeing her product everywhere. And now I'm an avid consumer, and so is my family, everyone in the family. And I just can't wait to hear the story behind the MUSH overnight oats that I am consuming at least 4 mornings a week. So Ashley Thompson, welcome to Dear FoundHer. I'm so happy you're here, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here. I'm really excited to connect today.
Me too. Well, I'd love for you to kick us off the same way we start every conversation, and that is tell us your story.
Yeah. So sometimes it's hard to figure out where to even begin, but I started MUSH almost 10 years ago. I was 24 years old, and I went to school for math and economics, and afterwards went into finance. So that's where I started my career. But I took a hard pivot at 24 to really follow my dreams and chase something that I was super passionate about and commit my time and energy to something that was really important to me and something that I wanted to do. I would say that was a critical piece to making the leap from finance to founder. And something that I've always been passionate about is health and wellness and the connection between what we eat and how we feel, think, and do in this life. And, it was very apparent to me at that time that there was a big problem to solve, our food system being quite broken in a lot of ways, and it contributing to a lot of negative effects, a lot of negative health effects. We have a lot of chronic disease in the United States, and it often leads to death, and saw that to be a big problem, and also saw that there might be just quite an elegant and simple solution, which is to make healthier food more available and accessible to people. So that was the start of it. It really, my life journey is a big part of it, but the real underpinning as to why we even exist is to help people eat better so that they can live healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives. And yeah, that was 10 years ago. It's been a wild journey since then, and I'm happy to get into any and all of the details.
So 10 years ago, you're 24 years old. You're just a baby. I mean, really and truly. Yeah. Think about what has happened in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah. I'm a completely different human, and the world is completely different too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Are you working while you're building?
No.
Okay.
So I decided pretty quickly that if I was going to go do something else, I was going to commit fully to it. I didn't want to have one foot in one place and one foot in another. Whatever I've set my mind to, I've always fully committed to it. And I think that's been a key to my success and what I've been able to achieve. And I knew starting out on an entrepreneurial journey, because I had seen my father do it, that it takes all of your time and energy and then more. So I sort of knew, having watched him build a company since I was very little, that the best path forward for me would be to leave my job at Goldman and start fresh, this business.
Okay. So you want to start a company that solves the eating crisis in the world.
Yep.
and that provides cleaner, healthier options.
Yep.
Why overnight oats?
Oh, okay. So, and I actually listened to Oat House, some of the episode from Allie, and she's great. And it was an awesome episode. I think she touched on some of the aspects that drove me to wanting to focus on oats. First and foremost, they're so healthy. Complex carbohydrate with fiber and protein, super, super healthy for digestion, helping with blood sugar, regulating things in the body, metabolic function. They're inexpensive. So I knew that in order to reach as many people as possible, I needed to pick a food that was accessible and affordable. And then Allie made the point, they're super sustainable crop. So they're a lot easier to grow and they don't take as many resources. And then the last thing is they really do have, and she pointed this out too, they have such a neutral flavor. And so they're great. It's a great sort of medium to bring flavor to life. And that was really important to me, given that I was eating overnight oats every single day, either pre or post workout. I was an avid runner at the time. Running's always been a huge part of my life, very meditative for me. And I ate them every day and I didn't want to eat the same thing every day. So I got to experiment with all these different flavors and played around with oatmeal in so many different ways and realized it's so versatile, so healthy, and so sustainable. So like, why not oats? And I guess the final thing when I was thinking about, okay, white space, how do we make a really innovative product, something that's not a Me Too product? And when you take a look at the oatmeal category, even today, it's pretty stodgy. Like it's as stodgy as oatmeal can be when you cook it to be warm. Quaker has been around forever, and God bless the Quaker man, but it's a really old, archaic brand and really hasn't been modernized at all. So I thought, oh, there's got to be a way to break through here and do something really different, modernize the category and put my own touches and spin on it.
So you leave Goldman, you want to start a ready-to-eat overnight oats company. You're 24. Okay. I mean, like, let's like put that into perspective. What do you do?
Oh my
I mean,
God.
like, what do you do? Like, what did you do first? And you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone is sitting at home wondering, listening to this. She's 24 years old. Like, did she fundraise? Did she have an idea? Like, what were the steps? And I know there were a lot, and I'm sure we could spend days talking about them.
Yeah.
But like, what was really the first thing that you did that launched this into a company and a career for you?
Yeah. I laugh because some of the things that I did initially are just so funny. Well, the first step I would say is I quit my job. And like that was really critical. And I know it's often the scariest step for people because it's illustrative of like commitment and taking risk. And it can be really challenging for people. But I was just so passionate about this idea that it didn't feel heavy to me at all. And I had a lot of support. So I will say that. So many people, including my own parents, really championing this idea and this adventure. My dad, I remember, I'll never forget, I told him I wanted to do this and I was unsure about what his reaction might be. And he was like, oh my gosh, you can't make a mistake before you're 30. Go for it. So I had that kind of support. So I quit. I moved to Southern California for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to chase weather. I had lived in the Northeast my entire life. I had summered with my family in California. That's where we would go on vacation every year. And I wanted to go be somewhere different, new, experience something completely different to what I had growing up. My boyfriend, now husband, was a Navy SEAL stationed in Southern California. And then the final thing, I knew that a new, healthy, innovative product might have a better adoption curve in Southern California versus anywhere else in the country. That's like the home of innovative health, food and beverage. It's where kombucha started. So thought I would have a lot more success getting traction selling cold oatmeal. And I really needed that at the time. Cold oatmeal was super novel at the time. So I quit, moved to Southern California. I literally, I kid you not, like I got an apartment and I had no idea what to do. So like for the first couple of days, I just like tanned outside in the sun. I'm like, what do I do? Like, what am I doing? And it was the first time in my life that there was absolutely no structure, like zero structure. Like that is probably one of the biggest changes in the beginning of a journey. Like I had school and sports and activities and, community service and then more college. And then you get a job in a professional career. And it's like, everything's just so structured. Like you show up when other people show up, you leave when the work is done. People tell you what to do and they delegate everything to you. And so that I think I was disoriented for like the first 12 months, I would say. Like it was a real disorientation, but I was also so excited. And so while I was there, I had no business plan. I'm like, who needs a business plan? I wasn't very like diligent at the time with things like that. I just thought like, well, I'm just going to like start doing stuff and eventually it's going to lead somewhere. And that's exactly what happened. I started making and selling overnight oats out of my kitchen into farmers markets. And that's what shaped what the product is today, getting all that initial consumer feedback direct from the consumers, like right before your eyes. And that's also how I started even thinking about, okay, how much is this going to cost? And how much do I need to sell it for in order to make money? So just like brass tacks, getting the business going. And it was really the fundamentals. We were making and selling. And that's what business is all about. It's like two main activities. You're building things or you're selling things. And that's how we got started. It just looked very different to how we build and sell things today. But it truly was like they're just fundamentals that we pursued.
So one of the things that I really want to point out is and you've said it a couple of times, is the fundamentals. And I always say, like, you have to go back to the basics. Like when I talk about marketing, for example, I say you have to have the foundation of the basics of marketing. Like you can't build some fancy funnel if you have no content strategy that's organic, because that's a basic, right? And so the fact that you're talking about, like, you are describing exactly how every single business owner should get started. And that is putting your product out into the world or your idea out into the world and testing it and getting feedback and developing and changing, because then eventually something happens. And so what happened to you that put you from farmers markets in Southern California, into a grander stage? Like what was that like key moment?
Yeah. So we were pretty much 7 days a week making and selling our overnight oats in in our kitchen, selling them at farmers markets. And we realized like we can only scale so much in farmers markets. We can only reach so many people. So let's start selling this product to local establishments, like coffee shops, cafes, athletic clubs, little convenience stores that were mom and pop owned that didn't have big barriers to entry. So that's what we did. And I mean, we literally did everything. We were selling to them and distributing it out of the back of our car in coolers. So that's what we started to do. And we stretched from San Diego all the way to LA, which is a really great region to do this. Big population, a lot of mom and pop shops. We were always, again, making or selling. And at one of the coffee shops, we were asked to demo our product to try to get some more trial on it and get it moving at this coffee shop. So I was demoing the product and I met this guy who was demoing another product that was based in Southern California, and it was sold in Whole Foods. And I was like, how'd you get this into Whole Foods? Like, what did you do? And he's like, here's the name of the guy who you need to know. So he just gave me a name. I left the place, went on my computer that night, looked this guy up, and he was like the head of the region of Southern California, Southern Pacific Whole Foods. I reached out to him, no response, looked at like who he was connected to. And then a couple weeks later, a woman by the name of Monica Coyle, who was the local forager at the time. So she was responsible for sourcing small local suppliers in Southern Pacific. She reached out and said, hey, let's grab 30 minutes. I want to hear your story and I want to know a little bit more about what you're doing and what your vision is. Drove up to LA, met with her, hit it off, and she on the spot said, let's do a 10-store trial. So brought us into 10 doors in the Southern Pacific region of Whole Foods in March of 2017. And that's really what kicked things off for us. We got this opportunity at a major retailer. And again, it was just more building and selling from there. Demos at Whole Foods, et cetera. Yeah.
When you guys got the 10 doors at Whole Foods, how did that impact and change your manufacturing process? Because obviously things had to change pretty quickly in order to meet that kind of demand.
Yeah. Well, I have to say we were It was amazing how much product we were selling at farmers markets already. I mean, I felt like we were literally working 24/7. Other than sleeping, we were just either making or selling. And the making, there was only so much we could do to scale at that time because we didn't have a ton of resources to buy equipment. I funded the business out of my own piggy bank with all the savings that I had from my days at Goldman. And in order to scale, we needed to have automation, and it just wasn't accessible or it wasn't affordable to us. So it was more labor, which obviously gets really expensive, really hard to maintain consistent product, but it was all we knew how to do with the resources that we had. We knew eventually we needed to get some more capital so that we could buy equipment to scale production. Otherwise, we were going to be hamstrung by how much product we could make. Not only like physically how many units, but also it just took all of my time, all of my, people who were working with us at the time, all of their time. And so to free us up, we knew we needed to invest in equipment. So we actually, around that time too, we went on Shark Tank. So we launched in Whole Foods in March of 2017. And then again, we got a call from the producers of Shark Tank in, I want to say like May or June. They had found us at one of those 10 Whole Foods stores, one of the producers, and was like, this is a great product. They looked it up. They're like, it's female founded, young gals doing this. Let's bring them in to see if they would like to come on the show. So that was like our next break. So it was 10 stores, then Shark Tank. And we decided to go through with it. And we got a deal with Mark Cuban. We aired on, I want to say it was in November. It was right around Thanksgiving, November of 2017. And that was like the next big wave of growth that we had to work through. And that's when automation came, because we definitely could not keep up with the demand at that time.
When you got the deal, did you take the deal and is he an investor? Okay.
We did. Yeah. We took the deal. We filmed in June, I believe. Yeah. We auditioned in May, filmed in June. The deal closed in like September, October, and then it aired in November. And thank God we took the deal because we really did need the cash. And then as well, we had this big marketing moment. But as you probably very well know, we were totally not ready for 10,000 households to see us on national TV and actually buy our product. So going on there was an amazing experience. And one of the things that really set us back was we were totally not prepared for the demand that would come with it. And it almost put us out of business. Like, it was one of the most challenging times in the history of MUSH.
When you guys were on the show, where were you sold at that point? Like, you were obviously sold in, were you still only in the 10 stores?
We were only in like 50 stores in Southern California. So we had we didn't have physical.
You had no distribution.
We had no distribution. And we decided to, like very naive entrepreneurial people, make a website and turn it on 2 weeks before we aired. And we had never shipped cold product via FedEx.
And so all of a sudden you're saying we're going to ship cold product.
Yes. And overnight got 10,000 orders.
Oh my God. What did you do?
I called in the Coast Guard. I mean, my family flew out to help me. And they were supposed to stay for like a couple of days. And my dad, who's an entrepreneur, who's just like so proud and like wanted to be part of it in some way, he flies out for like the weekend. He ends up staying like 3 weeks because he's like, oh no, they're like, this is not
in over their head.
This is not good. I mean, I remember emailing Mark in the middle of it because by the time we were getting caught up on orders, there were reorders. And so we just couldn't catch up at all.
And so what did Mark Cuban say?
So I emailed him and I'm like, Mark, I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. I pulled 10 all-nighters in the month of December, 10. I've never done that in my life. I felt physically ill and mentally and emotionally drained. And I was like, I think we're going to like kill this business. Like, we need to turn the website off. Like, we have to. People were yelling, like customers were emailing in really rough emails, like because they were waiting for their order for so long because we couldn't keep up. So it was chaos, complete chaos. And I emailed him. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to turn this website off. Like, we can't get out of this, blah, blah, blah. And he emails me back like pretty immediately. He's like, hey, go home, take a shower, eat some food, go to bed. wake up and chip away at it. Do not turn the website off. Get some help. Think about how you can get some leverage, and you're going to get through this. And that's exactly what I did. Like, I just left. I went home, took a shower, tried to calm down, ate some food, and we eventually figured it out. I mean, we did some crazy things. We borrowed a machine to put the product in hummus cups because we didn't have automated equipment yet. So we were shipping these overnight oats in these hummus cups that no one had ever seen before. Like, we just did so many different things to try to dig out of this hole. And we really didn't come out of it until March or April of the following year. So it was months. It was hell for sure.
And so but let's look at this as a glass half full opportunity and story. I'm sharing that because, of course, people are hearing this story and they're like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy. And every business person's best and worst nightmare, right?
Totally.
And so you dig out of it. And how does this put you on track to better business?
Yeah. So it did. It forced the hand of automation. I took a step back and said, there's no way we're going to be able to grow if we cannot automate this process. So it forced the hand of automation. And then as well, we just started thinking bigger than what we had previously thought of. And it opened our eyes to how much demand there actually could be for this product. So started thinking bigger. And then what I was really focused on was leverage. How do we get leverage? I need to get leverage. I can't do everything every day, all the time. And you get leverage through a number of things. And it all comes down to resources. So resources in equipment, resources in people, resources in capital. And that's really, it was a turning point for the business, because prior to that, it was just such incremental steps, because we just didn't know what to do or how to build it into something big. But going through that huge, big experience, it opened my eyes to this idea of leverage and how do we get more of it so that we can continue to scale. So it was hell and it was crazy. And it also wasn't the final outcome. That was history at this point. And we kept going and kept scaling.
Did you raise further capital after Shark Tank?
We did, but not until 2019. So we had raised $300,000 on Shark Tank, and we stretched that for as long as we could. That's something that I think is pretty unique to my journey as a founder and the way we've built MUSH. We've been incredibly capital efficient. And there have been opportunity costs to that, because with more resources, you could potentially scale a lot quicker, but you could also build something that's unsustainable too. And my dad, who, grew up in a different era where there wasn't as much debt and there wasn't as much access to equity capital, he instilled in me the brass tacks principles of, down and dirty business. You have to make money with what you're doing. You have to sell your products for more than what you make them for. You have to have margin, and don't raise Looney Tune capital, because you could very well give away your entire company and not actually grow it in a way that matches what you've given up for the capital. And so I took a very different path, especially at that time, in the 20-teens and even into early 2020s. Capital was essentially free, and everyone was raise, growth at all costs. And I just took a completely different, more, I would say, I don't know if I want to characterize it, but it felt like more disciplined path. It's been slower for sure, but I think in the long run will be a lot more sustainable. And as a result of that, I still, I essentially control the business, have a huge stake in the company. And we've been able to get to where we are today, which, we'll sell our 200 millionth cup this year. So it is possible.
That was my next question. So after Shark Tank, you're selling direct to consumer. You're still in these 50 stores in Southern California.
Yeah.
And then I would assume that the demand for the product in store is also there. And so what happens next? And tell everyone where you are today in terms of retail.
Yeah. So what happened next, we got asked to go national with Whole Foods. And then we also started to land some other retail accounts. One in particular, it's one of our favorite accounts, is Publix, which is the dominant grocery store in the Southeast, particularly in Florida. So we started landing other accounts because there was some proof points. There was a story. There was some data that we could go to these other retailers with and pitch the product and sell the brand and the vision into these retailers. And that's exactly what we did. In addition to that, I started hiring a team around me, and that was huge. I mean, I finally hired someone with real sales experience in CPG. I hired someone with real finance experience in CPG. They're still at our company to date. They're phenomenal people, huge part of the story. And yeah, we started scaling in retail because I realized pretty quickly that the infrastructure to sell cold products DTC it wasn't there at the time. I think a lot more infrastructure has been built out now, and we're actually turning on our direct to consumer business. We're relaunching in June, which is really exciting.
So you had turned it off and then now you're turning it back on. Okay.
We had turned it off during COVID. So that was like a key business decision we made. Everyone was going D2C because of COVID, but we realized that people were still they needed to buy stuff in grocery stores. And it was the biggest part of our business. Our D2C business was a really big distraction. We wanted to ratchet down on spending and just really focus on our bread and butter. So we actually shut D2C down during COVID and doubled down on retail, which was a big move. It was a little contrarian at the time, but it worked out well for us. And we have, now we're in well over 12,000 doors in Target, Costco, Whole Foods, Kroger, all the big grocery chains in the US. And I don't know that we would be in all of them had we not shut down D2C and just really focus all of our time and energy on our retail business.
I want to say congratulations, obviously, for so many different reasons. But, it's funny because when obviously I didn't really know about MUSH until your amazing publicist, Rachel, who's a dear friend of mine and who has been on this show, pitched you to me. And then I saw you at Whole Foods. And so I bought you. And like I said in the intro, I've been eating you guys, eating your food since. And I love it. And I love the product. But it really wasn't until today, till we sat down, that I knew the long journey that this has been. Because to me, on the outside, and to many people on the outside who now all of a sudden will see you in stores, it looks like this overnight success. And I'm saying this for a reason, because it wasn't an overnight success. And And I think that it's so important as founders to share that and to paint the actual picture of what happened, because it's so easy to look at a product on shelf and be like, oh my God, they have all this shelf space and they're in 12,000 stores. And I just saw them at Mariano's and I saw them at Jewel and I saw them at Whole Foods and they're everywhere. And oh my God, this was a long journey. And it's still, you're still on it.
Yeah, totally. And there's the fascination or obsession with overnight success. And I'm not so sure it's healthy. Things that are long lasting take a long time to build. Even Apple, it seems like Apple just sort of popped up out into the ether. But Steve Jobs had been working on Apple for tens of years, decades before, the iPhone came out and became what it is today. So yeah, I think there's, it could be very American, quick success. We want money and fame, but there is something so beautiful about going on a hard, long journey, and what comes of it. It's not just the numbers and how many cups and the revenue, the personal and professional growth. Had this happened in a year instead of 10, I wouldn't be too different from a year ago. I would probably be wondering how the hell did this even happen? But because it's been a longer journey, I've really been able to reflect on what it is that works, what doesn't, what do I want, who do I want to be, how do I want to lead, and grow so much more, I think, than I would have had it been so fast and furious.
So one of the things that I also love about your brand is that you are not just overnight oats. Yeah. You have other products, and I know there are other products coming. So I would love for you to share with our community, when did you decide to introduce a new product to the mix, and how did that come about? And I do think that founders have a very hard time with this and knowing not just what, but when.
Yeah. I think timing is everything. Like the what and how has been written about quite a bit, but timing is a key component to making things work really well. And we didn't launch a new product for basically 7 years. We pounded the pavement with our overnight oats. And it was a big, heavy lift and build. First and foremost, no one even knew what overnight oats were 7 to 10 years ago. I mean, truly, it wasn't even on Pinterest yet. And now everyone thinks of like, oh, we make overnight oats and it's on Pinterest and all this content around it. But 7 to 10 years ago, no, if you asked 10 people, maybe one would know what they are. So there was a lot that needed to happen to support this initial product line and its success. Education around and awareness around the product, distribution, carving out space in a really competitive category in yogurt and supporting it. We've gone, methodically doing that, building the brand in retail and earning our space, earning our shelf. And only when we felt like we had a really good foundation on the core product line did we even think about bringing a new product to life. And that was about 18 months ago when we started to think about what we really might want to be doing here is reinventing oatmeal in a lot of ways, in fresh, convenient, delicious ways. And so what other products can we make with this base of oats that appeal to consumers nowadays? And that's when we thought of these new product lines. So one of the things that I had noticed in the years of building our overnight oats in the cups is a lot of kids love to enjoy them as well. They're really easy, quick, convenient snack or breakfast. And so wanted to make a product that was maybe even a little more convenient and for a different usage occasion for kids, which was the pouches. So those, cups are harder to take on the go. They're very convenient and quick and filling in the morning, but they're tougher to take on the go in the car, at a park, school, what have you. So we thought, let's turn this product into pouch format. So that was one of the initial products that we developed after the overnight oats. And that was just source of inspiration was from Instagram and watching people like what they do with our product. And then the next product line that we developed actually came from a Whole Foods buyer. She approached us and the refrigerated bar buyer approached us and said, I love your cups, but I would love for you to make them into a bar. Can you do that? And I didn't even have bars on the radar. Like it wasn't something that I was toying around with, thinking about. I had so many other products on my mind, things that we could fill a cup with because that's what our infrastructure is set up for. So I wanted to use the resources and capabilities that we had. But since she came to us with such an important account, we were like, well, of course we could make this into a bar. So we developed a bar. That was March of last year. We developed from March to November. We developed and launched it in November. And it's been
they're delicious.
They're delicious. And it's an incredible success.
Like I've been holding my tongue because I didn't want to interrupt you, but like they are delicious. And I actually I think I grabbed a couple the first time that I grabbed the MUSH, the oats I grabbed it all and I was like, oh, I'm going to just try this. And I want to say something for the people who are listening. Yes, now you can take the bar with you. It travels fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do want to say whenever I go to the airport in the morning, which I travel all the time, I throw an oats container in my bag and that's what I eat when I get to the airport.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I was buying overnight oats at Farmer's Fridge, which is another client of Rachel's actually, because that was the only thing that I could get to eat for breakfast at O'Hare. And they don't even make the overnight oats anymore in their fridge. But I was like, oh, this is the best solution. So I just throw it in my bag and it's easy to go and I get a spoon when I get there. But the bars are also delicious. So
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're both really convenient and they're so filling. They're my babies. I love these products so much. I still eat MUSH every single day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes even 3 times a day, depending on how busy and chaotic things get. And then, and now we have the cups, but with a higher protein content.
I know. I am a very big fan of those.
And they're so yummy. Yeah, they're amazing.
Wait, and I'm going to point something out that's really important to our listeners because a lot of our listeners are over 40 like me, and we all need to get more protein per our doctors. And we talk about this a lot. And so this is such a great way to grab extra protein.
Yeah, they have 15 grams of protein. And what I love about our products is they combine protein with fiber. So we are on a protein craze as Americans right now, and rightfully so. It's one of the biggest macronutrients that we need in order to have healthy bodies and live full lives. And protein without fiber is a disservice to the body. The fiber helps you digest it better. It's super supportive of health. So I love that our product combines the two, in addition to complex carbohydrates, which help you feel fuller for longer.
How are you keeping up with creating demand in so many stores? Because obviously, 10 stores in the in Southern California is one thing, 50 stores is one thing. Going on Shark Tank obviously gave you a huge infusion of awareness, but now you are national and you need to support the efforts of many doors. How are you doing that? What's working?
Yeah, I would say it's always a work in progress to continue to iterate on what's working and what's not, especially given that consumers are discovering new products in different ways at a very rapid pace. TikTok Shop has become one of the best ways to discover new brands and products, and it's where a lot of money is flowing into. So we're always trying to keep up and trying to understand what's the next path to purchase that we aren't yet, playing with. I would say it still comes back to like the number one goal of consumer brands, at least from my view, the way I think about it is we need to drive household penetration. We need new households purchasing the brand, discovering the brand and purchasing it. How do we do that? It's a combination of awareness and then trial driving tactics. We need to top of funnel. And I'm sure you even know probably way more about this than I do, but we pull on a lot of levers at the top of the funnel to try to get people to even know about MUSH as a brand, what it is and why you should consider purchasing it. And then we try to get those same people when they do have high intent to purchase something, a snack or breakfast, to consider MUSH as an option, whether it's with, a discount or, an off shelf in a retailer. I would say it's all about prioritization. Like you could spend the days boiling the ocean, but you really need to, as a brand and as great marketers, need to understand what the signal is versus the noise and what really moves the needle when it comes to driving household penetration, which is ultimately what's going to lead to growth of the brand and success at shelf so that you can stay in these retail doors. So, it's a lot of the tried and true tactics at the top of funnel. It's a lot of social media. I think we're still iterating on our content marketing strategy, but it's social media, it's influencers, it's strategic partnerships, it's PR, it's podcasts like this that help get the name of the brand out. I mean, you're a great example. We've been around for 10 years. You had never heard of us and now you eat us every day. And there are so many people like that. We have 3.8% household penetration, 120 million households, and we have 3.8% versus like a Chobani has 50%. And yogurt as a total category has 95% household pen. So it's all about getting new brands into the franchise and making sure that, the funnel is working appropriately and that you're spending appropriately at each part of the funnel, both top, middle, and bottom.
I love the explanation that you gave also, because it does go back to a lot of what I say in terms of marketing. And that is you really have to, one, try things and see what works. But
Totally.
two, you have to be in many places. And I love that you just talked about all of these different strategies that I implore to my students every day. Like I'm always like, you can't only rely on social media. It has to be partnerships and podcasts and publicity and your website and emails and all these things need to work together. And you just said it. And so, and it's the God's honest truth. And so guys, when you're listening to this, like this is a brand that sold in 12,000 stores and they are still using the basics of simple marketing.
It is. There isn't a secret to it. Like you have to get high quality impressions. You have to get the brand in front of consumers and you have to get them to consider opening up their wallet and spending money on it to try it. Like that's really what it's all about at the basic level. And so, there's a lot of ways to go at it, but ultimately to your point, you need to try things, you need to iterate, and you really need to be you need to be highly engaged, understanding what's working and what's not. You can't be like an armchair quarterback to marketing. It has to be this maniacal focus on iteration and what's working. Is this piece of content working better than this one? If so, why? How do we do more of that? Whatever it is, but truly like high engagement, really in it to make it work.
Well, Ashley, you have such an amazing story. I feel like whoever is listening to this, and everyone should be listening to this, there have been so many takeaways. I've jotted down some notes as well. And I think everyone who's listening has a lot to learn from you. And I would love for you to leave us with the exact bits of information that I ask all of my guests. And that is, what are the 3 actionable steps that you would tell someone who's just starting a business?
3 actionable tips that I would give to another female founder who's just starting out. Number 1, write a mission statement that's personal, not just commercial. This isn't for a pitch deck. Write why you're doing what you're doing, what problem you're solving, and what you want to stand for. You'll need to come back to this in moments of doubt or lack of clarity. Number 2, write your own job description. Define what only you can do right now and maybe what else you want to grow out of. This will help you hire intentionally, delegate early, and build a company that doesn't just rely on you. And the third is start a confidence folder. Keep screenshots of wins, notes from supporters, and reminders of traction. You'll need it on the days that feel super heavy.
Ashley, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to continue to see where this goes because I know this is, even though 10 years in, it's only just the beginning. And I cannot wait to see what's next. So thank you for your time, your knowledge, your inspiration. I think that everyone listening will walk away with something tangible today.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate it.
I hope that you like this conversation and the story behind the MUSH brand. Before we go, I want to share my top takeaways from today's conversation, and there are more than one. The first one I shared at the top of this episode, and that is to connect with consumers in real life. But the second one is this: great brands are not built overnight. There is no such thing as an overnight sensation. Well, you may feel like MUSH falls into this category because you've only started to see them recently, or maybe you're first hearing about them today. You likely didn't know the years of hard work that went into the brand before it really took off. It's really important to know this when you're thinking about your own founder journey, because it isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And you have to look at it that way if you want a business that is going to succeed for the long term. The third takeaway I want to share is that when you know you have a big press hit or a big collaboration coming, you have to be ready for it. As you heard Ashley talk about today, MUSH was not ready for what happened after Shark Tank. It's imperative that you anticipate the possibilities that press, publicity, or even a big partnership can have on your business, and that you adjust so that when the time comes, you are ready. This will save you a huge headache in the long run and hopefully will keep you in business. I know that you have a million things that you could be doing, so thank you for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you listening and being here. Your support is everything. Stay tuned for an amazing conversation coming your way next week. You're not going to want to miss it. See you then.